Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
Thank you so much for downloading and listening to our podcast. It's good to have you along. And if you listen to this podcast a lot, you know one thing, that, we're not big fans of putting people into a genre, into a box, saying you're this, you're that. But we've tried to be very diverse. We've had on this podcast folks that are hip-hop, pop artists, the guy who produced a couple of number one songs in the pop field. We've had Americana, folk, blues, gospel, rock, southern rock. But there's one genre that we haven't focused on, and we're going to change that all today. And that's my bad. I'm going to apologize right up front for that. Let me tell you, there was a time when the Billboard country charts was called Country and Western. Did you know that? Every now and then, you'll hear people go, "Well, it's country western music." Or we play two kinds of music, country and western. Well, and back in the day in the Opry, all the Opry stars would wear the cowboy hats. And the management used to make them dress like cowboys, because they were taking it. Western was big. But as country music got more popular and it appealed more to a suburban and urban kind of a crowd, less and less Western type music was being played on the radio. And it's sad. We've kind of gone away from it. What's happened? You see less hat acts in country music. Well, if it's a hat, it's a baseball cap, right? But I'll tell you what, it has not gone away. It's still very strong. And that is what we're going to talk about today with our guest, introducing you to one of the best, multi-award winning. What a dynamic voice and performer she is. It's Kaye Holt. Hi, Kaye. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to see you. I've got these big balls over top of the microphone so they don't bleed. And I'm kind of like, I'm trying to see around you. There you are. I can see you now.
There I am.
Yeah. We'll just move you to the side a little bit. Yeah.
I was hiding back here.
Not too long ago, you and your husband, Gary, who is not here today. Gary, and you're on this Equestrian Legacy radio network.
Yes.
With some great podcasts there.
Thank you.
And not too long ago, you had me as a guest, and I appreciated that.
Oh, we loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are amazing what you do.
Oh, thank you.
And we found out that we're neighbors.
We are.
Like 3 minutes away, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's Nashville.
How long have you been here, Kaye?
This is our second year.
Second year?
Yes.
And you came here from?
A little tiny town that I love in southern Utah called Escalante. It looks like it should be pronounced Escalante. But of course, the locals, it's Escalante.
Escalante. It's like we have the same thing here. It's there's Lafayette, Tennessee. Now up in Cincinnati, it's Lafayette.
Yes, I know.
No. And of course, we have Demon Bruin Road, which is not how you pronounce it. It's Demumbrian. Just different local things, right?
I know. That's how secret code for knowing who's from out of town.
Exactly right. You say Demon Bruin here, we know.
You're not
from around here.
Yeah.
Now, I've never been to Utah, but I hear it's just a beautiful state.
Oh, stunning.
Yeah.
Stunningly beautiful.
It had to be hard to leave, huh?
It was.
Uh-huh.
It was hard to leave. It was very remote. In fact, it's one of the most remote regions in the lower 48.
Yeah.
Yes, it was it was the last place to be mapped in the United States.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
And the last place in the United States to still receive mail by mule train.
Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. It's incredibly remote.
You want to talk Western music?
Mm-hmm. I'll bring it.
There you go.
Bringing it.
But you grew up in Texas, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Texas?
Born Bergstrom Air Force Base.
Ah.
And moved to Clinton, Mississippi in my high school years. And then I moved to Utah. Mm-hmm. And my first marriage, I had 10 children.
Did you really?
I really did.
God bless you. We're going to pause right now for a moment. That's incredible.
I know, it is incredible.
Wow.
I feel really blessed. They're great kids.
I bet.
The youngest is now 17, so It's pretty amazing watching this.
So imagine you got some grandkids out there, huh?
Oh, yeah. Almost 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. So it keeps you busy.
It does. It really does. I love it, though.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest fan.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. I'm so happy for you. What a happy person in there. You can see why, and what a talent. I'm looking down the list here of awards that you've won. Things like Outstanding Original Western Composition, the Wrangler Award, Top Cowboy Song, Female Performer of the Year, Songwriter of the Year, and it goes on and on. Western Album. It's just incredible. You've really accomplished a lot. So tell us about your style of music, and again. Regardless, we don't talk genres, but I saw that you describe how you describe your music, and I thought it was interesting.
Well, yes, I started my career late. So I bought my first guitar when I was expecting my 10th baby. So I was 39 years old, and just learned my basic chords from YouTube.
There you go.
And
the things you can learn on YouTube.
I started writing music almost right away. The guitar really opened up. I've always enjoyed singing. I did a lot of singing in high school. And the guitar, it's just, I had so much inside of me that wanted to be expressed. And so even though I had a big family, I spent a lot of time writing and saved up money from singing at local places, and then recorded my first album. And just, it takes a little bit of luck, because I had an amazing sound engineer that helped basically produce my first album that had some Western music on it. And it was picked up by people who love cowboy culture. And in the West, we have what's known as gatherings. So it's similar to a music festival.
Okay.
But it's centered around the tradition of ranch families gathering.
Oh, okay.
In the months that are kind of downtime for ranching. So we have fall works for the cattle and spring works for the cattle. So December, January, February are kind of down months where you can get things done. And those were the traditional gathering times for these cowboy poets and Western musicians.
And people live far apart, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're talking about the next ranch over. It could be how far, yeah.
It's really far apart. Yeah, so there's these traditional gathering spots where we get together, and my music was picked up by these. And then I became immersed in the cultures, the various cultures of the West, because not all cowboying is the same.
No.
Not all horsemanship is the same.
No.
And so Western music also incorporates so many different cultures, Dave. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And you
talk a little bit about that. Share that with us.
Well, the West was settled by people from all over the world.
Right.
Scandinavians, and that's where you have the yodeling element.
Irish, like me.
Irish, yes. So
yodeling that's right. Scandinavian, that's right. Okay.
Yes, the Irish influence brought in some of the traditional old cowboy folk songs, like Get Along Little Dogies is from an Irish folk song.
No, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Wow, okay.
And then, of course, the Spanish influence as well. My mother is from Mexico, and so I bring that into my music as well.
Wow.
So it's exciting. It's less about the musical style and more about the lyric content.
I got you.
And I think the reason Nashville has kind of stepped away from Western music is because they don't know the West.
Yeah.
You can only write what you know, and you have to live in those wide open spaces and really take the time. Rap music has what they call street creds. Western music has pasture creds.
I love it. But you know what? That's true.
That's true.
Really something.
You just come across as disingenuous when you don't know.
You got to live it.
You got to live it.
You live it to write it. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Why don't you give us an example of some of your music? I'd love to hear something right now. Mary Kaye Holt is with us. She's got her guitar here around our Duncan Fife dining room table, which is every bit the part of this podcast. Mary Kaye, what'd you go sing? Tell us about it.
I raised my family in a very small house, 10 children, as you can imagine. And we had a very old barn out in back. And it was kind of a place that was overflow for my family. And it was actually overflow for me, too. When things were too crazy in the house, I'd go out to that barn.
Yeah.
So this is based on a night in December when I was out there. This old barn is a special place to me. This old barn and I have history. When life is more than I can bear, just like a child you will find me there. It's a cold and clear December night. The stars above, the only light, shine on this barn of rough-hewn pine, turning something simple into something divine. Why did God in His glory choose to start His son's story in a stable with a manger of hay? He could have saved all the hassle and crafted a castle for the Christ child on that first Christmas day. But I think I understand why it all began in a barn. The snow lay silent on the ground. My footsteps are the only sound. The world will turn again tonight, but for me I'll keep this silent night. This old barn where I have worked and played. In hard times I have even prayed. Who knew that such a humble place is where God would send His amazing grace? Why did God in His glory choose to start His son's story in a stable with a manger of hay? He could have saved all the hassle and crafted a castle for the Christ child on that first Christmas day. But I think I understand why it all began in a barn. Place that's warm, a place that's safe, far away from the human race. Yes, I think I understand why it all began in a barn.
If you're listening on the day that this publishes, it's November 15th. We're closing in on Christmas, so I'm counting that as our first Christmas song on the Songwriter Connection podcast. You know what? Regardless of genre, I'm all about the song, and I love great songs. And let me tell you, to me, what makes that song great. Everybody says when a songwriter can make you look at something from a different point of view, from a different perspective. And I never thought the manger as a barn, but yet it is. And that is beautiful. What a beautiful melody. And you paint the picture there in the, I can like close my eyes and see what you're saying, you know. So it's very good.
Thank you.
You got a gift, you.
Oh, man, thank you.
Very beautiful. What a great song.
Oh.
Yeah. So has coming to Nashville changed the way you write?
You know, coming to Nashville is kind of after a lot of big events in my life.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, this is going to sound strange, but in a lot of ways, Nashville is healing me.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah.
I came from Mississippi to Utah, And, as you can imagine, having 10 children, it's just the joy of my life, but so much work.
Oh.
And, there were a lot of things that were not easy.
I'll bet.
So falling in love with Gary and moving to Nashville has been kind of a time for me to just let all of this greenery, all of this good music, all of this Southern hospitality just seep into my soul. I've been a sponge, and I really had no idea how much it would mean to me to be amongst people who respect and love a song as much as I do.
Yeah.
And that is what makes Music City, Music City.
Yeah.
It's the respect and love for the song.
I agree. And people in a lot of other places don't get that.
No.
At all. I remember living in Cincinnati for 25 years. Moved here a little over 10 years ago now. A lot of us songwriters, we would meet like a little restaurant, decide what we were going to write, have pancakes in the morning, we'd call it breakfast in a hook. And people would look at us like, what are those guys doing? and one day a waitress did ask us, she said, what are you guys doing? We're songwriters. You what? What? You do? You are? But see, here in Nashville, that same scene, people nobody would have said, nobody would have thought a second thing about it.
No.
So I hear what you're saying, yeah. And there is a respect for the song here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it was good to see you at 12 Keys a couple of times. Come by, do a little songwriting right here in our own neighborhood.
Exactly.
Really fortunate to do the songwriter nights there on Wednesday nights. And I hope you'll come by and play for us sometime. We got to get you on there.
I need to do it.
Yeah.
I need to do it.
So you mentioned Gary, and he's not here, so we could talk about him. Yeah, where'd you meet?
Well, I had been a guest of his on his radio show.
On his radio show,
yes.
Okay.
And so he has done a great service for Western music with
he has, hasn't he?
Equestrian Legacy Radio. He has a show called Campfire Cafes.
Yeah.
And his first musical guest, it's been running for 11 years now.
Wow.
His first musical guest was Michael Martin Murphy. And,
oh, wow.
And then Gary just has a real feel.
Wildfire. Right?
I know.
Oh, great song.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
And a great Western artist because
Yes.
he understands, he knows.
Yes.
So Gary just has a great ear for a good song. And he's able to put his shows together and find his guests. When we get music every day, I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, every day.
And he is able to quickly determine whether or not, these artists would be a good fit for the show. And it's so fun for me to watch him work. But I was singing at an event in Georgia. So I flew into Nashville several years ago. And I did a house concert in Franklin.
Those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because I'd been a guest on his show, he came to the concert and we had a picture done together that night, completely professional, but I do get teased because I was standing rather close to him. And I have to, in my defense, tell you why.
Okay.
I always hide half of my hips behind somebody that I'm taking a picture with. It's just a trick that I've learned because I am not a size 0.
Oh.
So,
but you're so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Gary, I'm sorry I had to say that.
So,
I'll pay you later.
In 2020, right when the pandemic was coming out, I found out that I'd be going through a divorce in my first marriage. And so Gary had called me on the phone and asked me to be on one of his shows. And I was trying to be professional. I just broke down crying as I'm going through divorce. And he was quiet. He didn't say anything. What he should have said is, "What are you doing Friday night?" But he didn't say
No.
And anyway, he was just concerned about me. And he said 50% of all marriages end in divorce. But I felt like saying to him, I have 10 children. I was not thinking my marriage would end in divorce.
No.
So we started talking on the phone a lot. Of course, during the pandemic, it was kind of a scary time those first few months. And I was recording a new album, my latest album, which is called Frontier. And Gary Holt and I can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk
There's
and
a
talk.
connection.
We still, last night, I said, it was at 12:30. I said, honey, we got to go to sleep. We got to stop talking. So we just are very best friends.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
I think that's so important, don't you?
It is so important. It's just so easy and lovely, and lovely to fall in love, lovely to be in love, and that's kind of our story. And we have so much in common.
Staying in love's that trick, right?
It's easier when you get along.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Well, you seem so very happy. Now, does Gary play music too or no?
He has an incredible voice.
I'll bet. He's had a great speaking voice.
I know. Well, he grew up Church of Christ. They sing a cappella. He led the singing.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. His voice is amazing.
Wow.
But he doesn't play any instruments, and he doesn't call himself a singer.
No?
Huh.
No. How about that? Well, Gary, we're going to change that. We're going to call you a singer today. No, you can't back that up. You're not here. So.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Let's do another song, and then we're going to take a break, and then I want to talk about this International Western Music Organization that Gary's the president of, and find out more about that. Mary Kaye Holt is our guest, award-winning Western singer-songwriter, and it's just so great to have you here. Yeah.
I was just testing you to see if that was...
I like that.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about this song before I head into it here. So I was a mother of 10 children living in a tiny town, and all of a sudden I was on the road quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And, tongue started wagging. So I was sick with the flu one day and had the guitar actually on my lap when I wrote this song. Really? I was laying down, yeah. And it's cheeky. It's a cheeky little song about life on the road.
Awesome.
Did you come looking for the girl next door? Well, she don't live here anymore. She's got money for her pocket, Bible for her soul, gas in the tank and a wide open road. Why, she don't work from 9 to 5 is your best guess. That's just what happens when girl meets West. Someday she'll wander to your hometown, tune up her 6-string, throw some music down. Songs like bullets that will pierce your pain, make you feel all back in the saddle again. If you start feeling clammy or shortness of breath, she's put you into cowboy cardiac arrest. Boy meets girl, girl meets guitar. Pretty soon she's swinging on a Dale Evans star. Started singing for the money, she stayed in for the fun. This cowgirl knows how the West is sung. Shiprock at sunrise out on the res. Black Highway 50 with the sky of Nevada red. West Texas evening swapping tunes and passing time. Alberta plains north of the medicine line. She'll just head her rig north, take a sharp turn left. That's just what happens when girl meets West. Boy meets girl, girl meets guitar. Pretty soon she's swinging on a Dale Evans star. Started singing for the money, she stayed in for the fun. This cowgirl knows how the West is sung. Genoa, Lubbock, Prescott, Encampment, and Elko. She'll go to Lewistown, Alpine, Heber, and Durango. Grab a hot dog and a rock star on her way through Mesquite. 'Cause every girl knows you are what you eat. Any place folks talk cowboy is her new address. That's just what happens when girl meets West. Boy meets girl, girl meets guitar. Pretty soon she's swinging on a Dale Evans star. She started singing for the money, she stayed in for the money. This cowgirl knows how the West is sung. Yes, her life is crazy, but she knows she's blessed. That's just what happens when girl meets. That's just what happens when girl meets West.
You want to know what Western music's all about? There you go. Girl meets West. Even got the Texas Playboy thing in there. That's awesome. I love that song.
Thank you.
Very cool. And I think we just found the title of this here podcast. It's going to be How the West is Sung. You gotta love that. You have to love that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Mary Kaye Holt.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
And if you're listening on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button, because that helps us a lot, you know. I know we're not a video podcast as of yet, but I feel that we have to be there because, you know, that's the second largest search engine in the world, next to Google. So anyway, Songwriter Connection. And even if you're listening on Apple or one of the other places that we are, which we're everywhere, go over to YouTube and do that for me. All right? We're looking to monetize there eventually. That would be really kind of cool. To get money?
What?
Money for what we do? What?
Amazing.
Songwriters in Nashville are used to that. I mean, yeah. So Mary Kaye Holt is our guest. And your husband, Gary, who's just a great guy.
Yes.
He's the president of the International Western Music Association. And tell us about that organization and what they do and what he does.
Well, the International Western Music Association, IWMA, is really the organization that found me.
Did they? Okay.
And kind of nurtured me. Actually, my first Taylor guitar was through that organization when I won Female Vocalist of the Year.
Wow, I saw that.
And so
Man.
It's an organization that really welcomes people in. I've seen people be in this organization for several years. Every year I come back, the artists are getting better and better. It's an organization that really welcomes new artists. Now, you have to keep in mind, Dave, I joined that organization when I was 42.
Wow.
I think I won, as soon as I joined, the very next year I won that award, which is a big deal.
And here you are 2 years later.
2 years later.
2 years and 10 kids later. No, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm 56 now. Okay. So this organization has been there for me, and I'm there for them. And wow. Gary certainly is as well.
That's awesome.
But I mention all of that because I really feel like there are some artists out there that maybe are listening to this music. It resonates with them. Check out the IWMA because it is a home for musicians and artists.
Yeah.
And just kind of learn what Western music is. Dip your toe in and see if you've got it in you. I love the quote that Maynard Dixon, one of my favorite Western artists, said. He said, "The spirit of the American West lives in every soul." Ooh. And that is what makes Western music, I think, gives it universal appeal, is that feeling of wanting to be free, the wide open spaces of the West. That's the American cowboy is the worldwide symbol of freedom and independence. And
really?
So, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And you know, I love to watch old Westerns and even new Westerns.
Yes.
I love it. You know, I love on the Grit TV network. I always got to see what's on Grit, right? Oh, there's John Wayne. Yeah, I got to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just absolutely love that. And until I met you and Gary, and I met you through a mutual friend, Ren and Andy Renfrew.
Oh, love them.
I'm so sad they moved because they were just the next treat over.
Yeah.
And produced my record, my last record. But I met, and prior to meeting them and you, I didn't know Western music was its own separate genre. So the work that the IWMA does is just so important.
Yes.
Has Gary been involved from the start, or tell us where's the headquarters?
The headquarters are in Texas.
Or Texas, okay.
The yearly convention is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's coming up next month.
Isn't that where Ren and Andy live?
So we'll see them there.
There you go.
And so it's a conference that really is worthwhile coming to check it out. It's not an expensive conference to attend, but it really will give you a feel for this music.
And it's not just music either. It's a whole lifestyle, right? You're talking about the whole culture.
I'm talking about the whole culture, yes.
What you wear, you know.
Yeah.
Right down to jewelry, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's, when you know the culture, you know exactly what region of the West a person is from, just from the way they wear the way they wear their hat, or their kind of buckle they're wearing, or the kind of jeans they wear.
Sure.
The kind of boots. I mean, you can learn a lot about a person just by looking at them.
Wow, I'll bet. Yeah, because whenever, which is not very often, whenever I wear a cowboy hat, they go, "Oh, you're from Cleveland, Ohio."
Oh my goodness!
I don't look real Western, but God, I love that look. I wish I could pull it off. I can't. Now you also you have jewelry and clothing available on your website.
Yes,
yeah.
I've always loved fashion. I've always loved beautiful clothes, and being a performer gives me an opportunity to dress up quite a bit, which I love.
And you do.
It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. But I often have women come up to me and ask where I got things, and so now I find those things, and I have them on a store called West Threads.
Nice.
And you can find that on my website.
Mm-hmm. Which is?
So, MaryKayeHolt.com.
HOLT.com. Check it out. There's some really cool stuff on that. And while you say that, I have to tell you, one of the things I do miss, and I'll go to the Opry, because I'm still a big Grand Ole Opry fan. And what amazes me is back in the day, country star would come on and you knew there was no question about that person. They had that star quality and they were dressed to the nines. And sometimes it was Western. Most time it was Western, with the Manuel and the nudie suits and things. Today, some of those stars, some of these, and God, I love them all. But if I had one criticism, one really huge star looked like he just got off his couch from watching TV all day. And I'm like, come on, you're a star. Why aren't you? Come on, this is the Grand Ole Opry. Am I wrong?
I was surprised too when I came to Nashville.
Like, come on, really?
The other thing that surprises me and that I don't really like in Nashville is all the sitting on stools when you're performing.
Well, I'm really guilty of that. I like to sit on this stool.
I hate that. It's not good for singing. It just looks sloppy.
No, I know. So for me, I guess it's more. I feel more intimate, with the crowd when I'm sitting. But you do have more energy, and every now and then I'll stand up and rock it a little bit. But you're right; it's better for your voice if you're standing up. But I agree with that. Yeah, in fact, I had a neighbor who would always comment on my Facebook posts. Tell those singers to get off the stools. And I go, okay, Dave, I'll do my best. But, but who am I? So that is a good point. Yeah. So very good. How about another song from you?
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. And of course, the story behind it. We're all about that.
There's a region of the West that's known as the Great Basin. It's a really big region. Mm-hmm. And
where's it at? The Great Basin area?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it'll be, it extends through parts of Nevada and up into the states above.
Okay.
And it's where the ancient Lake Bonneville was, and so it created a big basin.
With the Bonneville salt flats and everything?
Uh-huh. That's all part of the
How about that?
The basin area.
Okay.
And singing would take me out there quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And I became friends with a wonderful family that has their spring works, their branding. They had people come in from everywhere to come be at this branding because they did they had the roping and they had branding fires, 2 branding fires. And it's just not common to see branding fires anymore. Most of the ranch families use propane tanks to heat up the branding irons. Mm-hmm. So this is a big deal. They have a big lunch in the afternoon. And I was honored because they asked me to come and participate. I had a friend of mine, my photographer, Anita Crane. She came with me. We got some great pictures and video. The place of honor at a branding is to be the header or the healer, and so you separate. You go in with the header
or the healer. We have to.
So
explain to us
in the morning. The cow calf pairs are brought into a paddock.
Okay.
And then a cutting horse and rider go into the paddock to separate the calves from
That's what
they're mamas. Yeah.
Okay.
So the mamas are unhappy. The calves are unhappy. It's loud. There's lots of bawling cattle. And so as soon as the calf is separated, it's put into the main. I'm losing my words. Yes, thank you. Okay. Corral, the main corral, where the two roping teams, a header and a healer. So the header will throw a loop over the calf's head. The healer gets the heels, and then the calf is dragged towards the branding fire. And then there's a groundwork team that has the brands. Now, another big job in a branding is the person who does the brand.
I'm sure.
Because that's a place of honor as well. And then usually the women of the group, but it can be men, we have to, if it's a steer, you have to make it a steer. And I have a great picture of this really cute girl. She has long braids, and she is actually holding a bloody knife between her teeth. The vaccinations are done. And then the calf is let loose. Now, meanwhile, there's little children running around, and they've got these steel buckets, and they're the ball buckets. So,
where Rocky Mountain oysters come from, right?
And then over the same branding fire, they have they roast the. They have
okay.
Rocky.
This is an educate. I'm learning here. This is interesting.
Yes. So there's the ballings. There's the smell of burnt hide and hair.
That can't be pleasant.
It's actually really fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's, that's how we get our beef in America. So if that's unappealing to you, you should be a vegetarian. You know what I mean?
Does it hurt him, though?
I don't think so.
No. It's real quick.
It's really quick. Horses have a thinner hide, so they're branded in a different way. But the cows, as we know, have nice leather.
I see. I had to ask.
Oh, yeah. And you do that all day long.
Wow.
And pretty soon you're covered in dust. All the women have dust in their eyelashes. There's grit in your teeth.
Oh, boy.
And we call lunch. And at lunch, I sang for everybody, which was the most help that I was at the branding.
Well, now we know where the saying grit in your teeth comes from.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
So, wow.
But another favorite memory, just really quickly before I get into this song.
No, I love this. Yes, tell me.
One of the cute cowgirls there, she and I are still friends. She makes jewelry. And for Western women, jewelry is a really important...
It is for my wife, too.
Yeah.
And she's not Western.
We collect our pieces, and turquoise and silver, engraved silver, are what we collect. And when we get together, we're showing off our pieces, and you wear them with everything.
Yeah.
So she had brought some jewelry that she made, and here are all these women covered in dust. She threw the jewelry onto a table, and we were sifting through them, and I got a few pieces from her that day, and I prized those pieces.
Okay.
But at that branding, everybody took turns roping. And from 80 years old down to, all genders.
How cool.
But one of the best ropers was he had a Scandinavian name like Sven or something.
Sven the roper.
And man, he was throwing some fancy loops. It was really impressive.
Wow.
And I asked
That's got to be an art.
It is an art.
I'll tell you.
It's a buckaroo art. It's kind of that buckaroo style cowboying, long ropes. And so I asked about him, and he had always dreamed of being a cowboy. And he made his way to the Great Basin and married a rancher's daughter. And he was, one of the best. Wow. So this song is really kind of about his story.
Awesome.
Heard about a land where the cowboy's king. Heard about a land where the cowboy's king. Taped a picture on the wall from a magazine. Got a renegade heart beating in his chest. Gonna beg, steal, borrow his way out west. In a sea of sage, rolling on and on. Gonna learn the ways of a native son. Gonna turn the heads of all who see him, and he's riding on a horse that they call freedom, freedom. Horseback men are made by the mile. Throw a leg over with a squint and a smile. No paper money can pay them dues. They're just dragging calves and building loops in a sea of sage, rolling on and on. Gonna learn the ways of our native son. Gonna turn the heads of all who see him, and he's riding on a horse that they call freedom, freedom. He's been known to be thrown by some wild ones. Horses like dreams, they're the rough and the mild ones. Never know what you got inside them till you saddle up and ride it. So whistle down the wind and spur 'em to a lope. Or just keep our saddle and rope. Day ain't over till the job is done. Out here in the land of earth and sun, in a sea of sage, rolling on and on. Gonna learn the ways of our native son. Gonna turn the heads of all who see him, and he's riding on a horse that they call freedom, freedom, ah, freedom, oh, freedom.
That's great, Mary Kaye. Very, very cool.
Thank
and
you.
I have to tell you, for someone that picked up the guitar later in life, you play really well.
Thank you.
I know guys that have been playing all their lives that don't play half as good as you.
Thank you.
And you know, I know your guitar is, and I like to get a little technical every now and then. We don't have this. We don't have a camera going or anything, but you're down a full step,
Mm-hmm.
and then you capoed it up. You put that capo on the second fret, and there's a really cool trick, and we've talked about it briefly. If you don't capo all of the strings, you leave that bottom E string uncapoed, you've got what essence becomes a drop D.
Right.
Or if you're in normal tuning, we say drop E, you know.
Yes.
And it gives you that really cool sound.
It does.
And the way you chug that, you know. And you've got an interesting finger picking style. You know, you use your thumb, but you also kind of claw up too.
Yeah.
In that Mother Maybelle kind of style,
Yes.
don't you? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Is that something you picked up, or was it taught to you?
So when I started playing, of course, it was in isolation and I didn't have very many musicians living around me.
Yeah.
So I started, I really went down a rabbit hole with musical styles.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother Maybelle was one of the people
Was she
that I
really?
studied. Yeah. And
How
I
about
just, you know, when the way you learn is the way you kind of will forever be the base of how you play. And so, yeah,
I agree.
it's the hammering style kind
Pretty
of.
cool.
Yeah,
Gives you
thank
a
you.
really good sound.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Absolutely.
Well, as a female, I found that a pretty female voice, if you're the only person doing a full concert, you can put your audience to sleep pretty quickly, unless you have a real different tempo and style to your songs.
I agree with that. And in so many rounds, and we've talked about it, especially with Mark Allen Barnett, who's been on the show many times, does the Mark Allen Barnett tours. So many times we go to writers' rounds in this town, and people play one ballad after another, after another, after another. It's like, somebody got any tempo at all, you know? And I hate to see that. So, like, when I play out, and I imagine you're pretty much the same, because what I've heard from you has been pretty good tempo songs, that you mix it up enough, and you've done this enough to know when to throw in that touching ballad, you know. Yeah.
Yes.
And you learn that with experience, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now you've got new music coming out in January, is it? Tell us about that.
I do. I'm releasing my first single that I did not write.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
As a songwriter, I think that's cool.
I know. Well, there's so many great songs, and it's actually a song written by Andy Renfree and Helene Cronin, two of my very wow, such thoughtful, powerful
really
writers.
Is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Andy had played I guess it was a sample track, a demo track for me with a lovely singer. I don't remember her name. But I heard the song and I just fell in love with it. And so it is not a Western song. It's called Unbecoming. And I have some trepidation in releasing it to my fans, but because they're used to a certain thing for me. And I think when I moved to Nashville, my fans were worried that I'd turn away from Western music. And I hope you can hear from the songs I'm singing today, I have not turned away from it. It's in my heart and my soul. No. But as a musician, I really need to stretch my wings.
Sure.
And so this is a special
and you
song.
evolve as an artist.
Yeah.
And I think that your fans will embrace you and embrace that. I bet they will.
I think so. I hope so.
I'm anxious to hear that when it comes out.
You're going to love it. I'll
send
come.
me the tracks.
I will. I'll send it to you.
And come back and we'll do another one of these.
Oh man, I would love that.
We'll take a listen to them.
It's such a long drive though, so.
I mean, 3 whole minutes. You do it in segments, drive a mile and then break, take a break, get a cup
you might
of
have
coffee.
to cover my gas. I don't know.
Is there a Starbucks between here and there? I don't know. But yeah, that would be really interesting. Let me ask you too. Now, moving to Nashville, and you said it, people were afraid that maybe your style would change a little bit. One of the things that we do a lot here in Nashville is co-write. Now,
yes.
Do you do that?
I have been doing co-writing, and I've had some great co-writes. And I'm working towards enough material for a new album. But the music industry has changed enough that I don't know if I will ever release an album like I've done in the past. I think in the future it will be a series of singles released towards a full album.
That's kind of what they've been doing these days. Now, I've released like 3 singles and then the whole album. And I had people going, no, you got six songs on that, dude. Just spread them out. And but the next one I'm going to do it that way. Yes, and a shorter. I'm convinced now. A shorter album. So instead of 12, 13 songs, maybe do 8 to 10. Yeah. Yes. That's. I think that seems to be the way that folks are doing it today. Yeah. And some folks are not even pressing CDs anymore. No. People are buying vinyl overseas. Vinyl sales exceeded CD sales for the first time this last year. Yeah. Actually, it's been a couple of years now. Oh, really? Almost like 4 or 5 years now. Might even be more. And I'm a vinyl junkie, so I love music on vinyl. And so I'm struggling with, because the cost of printing CDs vinyl's very expensive to press. And I'll give you an idea. I saw an ad the other day, and it was really the best I've seen in a while. $9.99 for, I think it was 100. It was 100 records pressed. Now that's not bad today. I like to buy vinyl, and I've spent on new vinyl anywhere from $20 to $30, $40, depending on the artist and stuff. But I just love the sound of dropping that needle, and it just seems so warm to me. And so that's the thing I like. So I'm struggling there. And next one, should I release vinyl only? I don't know. So have you thought about that? I have. Gary and I were talking about this morning, in fact. He loves going through my old catalog. I've got, I think, 6 or 7 full albums worth of material. Yeah. And that were produced with an amazing sound engineer in Utah with incredible musicians there. Like I said, I really lucked out. Yeah. So I've got some really... I mean, I don't want to pat my own back, but I've got some great music in my catalog. Bet you do. Yeah. And so we were talking about maybe putting together a compilation. Best of, kind of? Best of, yeah. And releasing it to vinyl. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. I think you'd sell a lot of those. I really do. Oh, yeah. I really think so, too. I know one that you've definitely sold. You haven't even printed one yet. Oh, let me write that down. Put me down. Dave. Write it down. Absolutely. Yeah, only $100, right?
It's only $100 for you, my friend. Special
I get the
deal for
family
you.
discount. I am so impressed.
The neighbor discount.
Oh, that's so great. It's just a pleasure to get to know you so much. And I have to say, because we were talking about Andy Renfrey, you can go back on our podcast. Ren and Andy were both on our show, and they're really great artists as
Amazing,
well.
yeah.
In fact, Andy wrote one of my favorite Western songs, that Chris Ledoux song.
Oh, yes, Buffalo Grass.
Buffalo Grass. What a great song. And I loved it when she'd sing that, in rounds and things that we played together. But yeah, it's something else, It really is. That's why we call this the Songwriter Connection. You just make so many cool connections, not in this town, but all over. Just some interesting connections. And I had no idea that Ren and Andy together, they're Randy.
That's their couple name.
That they live just the next road over. I can about hit him with a stone. And they're just the coolest people. And then you and Gary, when we get on the podcast, your podcast, and I find out that you're 3 miles away, it's just something else. Yeah. So, yeah. Keep connected, folks. Yes. Spread your wings. Meet people,
exactly.
Connect people.
Well, that's what's so cool about this podcast. It does connect not only what we're doing, but also the audience.
Somebody recently said, Dave, you're a connector. And I thought, wow, I kind of like that.
High praise.
I like that. It is high praise. So you're going to have to take us out with one, okay? Is that all right?
I would love that.
Can we get one more from you?
Yes, you can.
Is there anything else we need to talk about with Gary since he's not here?
No, I think we've given him a hard enough time.
Okay, good. He's a pretty cool guy, pretty handsome guy. We're letting you slide, Gary. But next time, I'm telling you.
This is a love song. We're not written a lot of love songs, but...
I think they're the hardest, don't you?
They are kind of hard.
They really are.
And this is kind of Gary and I's song. We just love this.
Awesome. We're going to dedicate it to Gary then.
Yes.
Gary Holt,
I'll
here
throw
you
out
go.
that dedication. And I just really appreciate you having me on your show. It's been really fun.
I appreciate you.
And for the listening audience, come find me on my website. I'm active on social media as well. And so if you enjoy the music, we're meant to be friends, y'all.
I like that.
We were just two October dreamers off to see the world. A smile when I recall the bold choices we made. You could have asked me to fly to the moon and back again. I'd pack my bags and say when I gave you my innocence, you gave me your hand. And darling, I'm here for the ride. You don't even need to wonder if I'll stay here by your side. This is the horse that we drew between me and God and you. We'll make it through. We will survive. Darling, I'm here for the ride. I can't conjure the future, and I can't heal the past, but I can wrestle down this moment and wish that it could last. You are the lines on my face and the catalyst is on my on my heart. You are the hope of years together and the fear of years apart. And darling, I'm here for the ride. You don't even need to wonder if I'll stay here by your side. This is the horse that we drew between me and God and you. We'll make it through. We will survive. Darling, I'm here for the I defy anything combined to unwind us. We're one living thing in love that binds us. Even death could not divide us now. Darling, I'm here for the ride. You don't even need to wonder. You don't need to wonder if I will stay here by your side. This is the horse that we drew between me and God and you. We'll make it through. We will survive. Darling, I'm here for the ride.
Now you done it. You gone and done it, didn't you? How do you not fall in love with that voice?
Oh, thank you.
Gary, I'm sorry, but I'm in love with Mary Kaye Holt. It's I'm going to tell you right now. It's a good thing we live so far away, 3 whole minutes away. Fantastic.
Thank you.
It's a great song.
Thank
Fantastic song. I'm amazed by your talent, and I want to wish you tremendous success, and keep doing it. And you're awesome. I love what you do. Yeah, folks, find out more about Mary Kaye Holt at the website, which is
MaryKayeHolt.com, and the K is spelled Kaye.
I think it's good to note that.
MaryKayeHolt.com, and I'm serious. If you are touched by this show,
I certainly was.
We are really meant to be friends. I think that's how God works.
I think that's how God works.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, new friend. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.